Today I wanted to kind of offer you a little bit of advice. I know everybody's got something to say, and this isn't really business advice, but it could be used in business. It's more life advice, if it helps. So, for this, I need some visual aids. This circle right here, kind of egg shaped, is a graph. It's a pie graph or egg graph. I don't know whatever you prefer to call it, but it's a graph nonetheless, and I'm going to fill it in. So there's certain types of information that you have, and it basically falls into one of three categories. So there is everything in the world that you know. I'm being very generous on this one. And then there's a bunch of stuff that you don't know. That's represented here. We got this huge section right here. And that huge section is things that you don't know that you don't know. So, I mean, things that you know is pretty self-explanatory, right? Things you don't know. Well, like for instance, I know that I don't know how to put a man on the moon. That's fine with me. Now, maybe if I was Elon Musk, that would bother me, but it doesn't bother me because I'm not Elon Musk. But no, having it in the no, I don't know category doesn't bother me at all. Now, if it was something that did bother me, I'd want to take it from the no, no I don't know into the no things I know category. And then there's this huge area of the world right here that is the things I don't know that I don't know. And you'll hear a lot of business people use this phrase a lot, that they don't know, you don't know what you don't know. Um, it's very common. That's part of one of the reasons why you want to hire people and get professionals in a particular field, because it's probably going to be a lot of things that you don't know that you don't know. But I really want to focus on these two areas right here, the things you know and the things you don't know, or that you don't know. And those two areas really get crazy. I want to tell you something, introduce to you a new concept called the story. Okay, so what is the story? Well, we don't like to admit that we don't know something. So if we know we don't know something, we tend to want to put it in the known category. So what we'll do is we'll fabricate our own little narrative, our own little instructions, so that it can be in the known category. We want to admit, you know what, I can put a man on the moon, I can put a man on Mars, I can put a man on Jupiter, I can put a man in another galaxy. Yep, I know how to do that. This is how you do it. And we make up a story behind that. Now, that's a bit of extreme that nobody's going to really buy. But there's certain things that happen in our lives that we don't know what happened. And instead of saying, okay, I know I don't know, we want to shift it into the known category. So what we'll do is we'll make up stories about things that we don't know are true. For instance, I see this a lot in the landscaping industry with a term called chuck in a truck. Here's the thing, we see the guy on Facebook or whatever put up starting at $20. Okay, what is 20 bucks start? What do you get for 20 bucks? First off, you don't know. Number two, that guy, as soon as that pops up, they label him truck in a truck, and he doesn't have insurance, and he doesn't have this, and he doesn't have that, and he has zero business sense and that kind of thing. Are you sure about that? I mean, just because they're charging little money doesn't mean that they don't have those things. They could be looking for quantity versus quality. And they looking at that in terms of customers too. Now, I'll tell you, if you're charging 20 bucks a mo, you've got some kind of problem there. There's something you're either missing that you need, or you're thinking busy equals money, and being busy does not equal money. It doesn't. I mean, a lot of times if you're charging too less, I got a whole other story, a real story about that one, but I'm not going to get into it on this video. But people like to make up all of these stories. How do you know? Oh, he's not paying taxes. How do you know? You don't have to be an LLC in order to pay your taxes. Trust me. The government's more than happy to take money from you. More than happy. So it doesn't really matter. You're then making up a story of things you don't know. Hey, if you want to know, ask the guy. If you don't want to ask the guy, then just leave it in your no, I don't know. I don't know why that guy is charging so little money. And leave it at that. Why can he afford to do it? Leave it at that. There's no reason for trying to drag the guy through the mud, because these are things that you know you don't know, and you want to put it in the I know category. Oh, I know what he's doing. I know how he's running his business. Why? Because you ran the same business? This is very dangerous tread when you start working on that, and we'll make up stories about other people all the time. I am going to tell you a little bit of a story that I've had and I've done, that kind of this concept what came into play. The year was 2005. My Envoy was being manufactured, and I was taking a gap year that year from college. I graduated from community college, and I was taking a gap year, and I decided I was going to go continue my college experience. And so what I decided to do is I went through catalogs and things like that. I visited a lot of universities. I decided to go to a college. I never visited the campus before. I literally only knew them based on the information on their webpage, which wasn't that great at the time compared to what they are now. And what I got in the little catalogs in the mail. And I decided that I was going to attend a college called Northeastern Illinois University. Well, I applied there. Like I said, never visited the campus. I applied there. I went and I searched at a lot of different universities, was doing campus visits and things like that. But that was one I never visited. But it seemed like, at least on paper, they had everything I was looking for. So why bother visiting? It was close enough to home. I was planning on commuting. I wasn't going to live on campus. So this seemed like the ideal thing. I put all my eggs in one basket. I applied to one college. And lo and behold, after applying to that one college, I get an envelope in the mail that looks like this. If you have applied to a college and you get an envelope from that college that looks like this, a number 10 envelope. If you want to know why they call them number 10 envelopes, it says so right on the box. I don't know why they call them number 10, but that's what they're referred to as. But if you are applying for a college and you get a number 10 envelope, this is not a good sign. Immediately, you're like dreading opening it. Because what it's in it? A rejection letter. You want an envelope that looks more like this. Because this has all kinds of fun forms and things like that for you to sign out so that you can get started in your college career. I had all my eggs in this one basket, and I get this envelope. And it sat for a few days because I knew what was in it. And I eventually opened it up to confirm it was what it was. And my heart sank even more. This was my one shot, and I was going through all of these scenarios of what happened. Okay, my ACT scores were in line. I was coming in as a transfer student. My GPA was perfectly fine coming from my community college. I had the proper credentials to do all the transferring. I mean, everything was in line according to what they were looking for in their specifications, and I couldn't figure it out. So I started making stories about this. I started inventing these ideas of what happened. And I was sitting there talking to a friend of mine, and he brought up this concept right here. And he basically said, You're making stories. And I sat there and thought about it and said, you're right. He goes, you either have to admit that you don't know, that you now know that you don't know what happened, or and be good with it, or actually find out what happened so that you can put it in that known category. And he was absolutely right. That's what I was doing. I was making up all these stories about why I got this envelope instead of this envelope. I'm going to make a long story very short. Eventually, this was 2005, and in 2010, I received this, which was suitable for framing. The most expensive piece of paper I've ever purchased, and if you notice, it says Northeastern Illinois University. What I ended up doing was visiting the campus for the first time. I called someone up, set up an appointment. Like, I would like to find out, what happened. Why did I get rejected? And he's like, okay, and I set up an appointment. I sat down and talked to him. He brings up my file, and he brings up all my information, and he's looking through it, and he's staring at it, and he's staring at it some more, and then he stares at it some more. And it's the silence. He has this very confused look on his face. Because I'm like, okay, so I'm going through all of your requirements, and I meet every single one of your requirements, even whether I'm a transfer student or not. I meet all of them. So what's going on here? And he stares at it some more. He turns around and goes, I'm sorry, we made a mistake. I will get things changed, and you will get all your documentation to be able to start school. Fill those out, and you'll be able to start in the winter semester, which is actually the semester I was applying for. To this day, I don't know what happened. He didn't tell me what happened. I don't think he knew what happened. But after further review, I walked out of that office, and I started looking around. I kind of walked around campus for the first time, like, this is where I'm going to be going to school for the next, I don't know how many years, but I think it was 4. Yeah, and this was kind of an exciting day. I went down to the cafeteria, tried the food. This was my first time on the campus, so I spent a little bit of time there and soaked things in, because this was an interesting moment in my life. A moment that, like I said, would last the next 4 years and culminate in getting this. Some will say this is probably the biggest waste of money I ever had. If you talk to my wife, she'll probably disagree with you on that one. There's a lot of things I've kind of wasted money on, according to her. But that's a whole nother story. But here's the thing. I get into that story. I'll be honest with you. What happened there, to this day, is still in the things I know I don't know. I don't know why I received that number 10 envelope to begin with. I don't know. But I'm okay with it being there now. Because eventually it doesn't really matter in the long run, because whatever the issue was got fixed. And I got this expensive piece of paper right here, and that's why I even had it framed, because it's really expensive. Fun fact about this piece of paper. Nobody can take this away from you. They won't give it to you until you've paid for it, number one. Number two, nobody can actually take it away from you, because it has nothing to do with, this represents knowledge, apparently, that you received. But they can't take it away from you. They can repossess my house and everything, and if I sit there and say I want my college degree off the wall, they have to go out into the house, grab it from me, and hand it to me. They can't take it from me and say it's ours now. That piece of paper is always going to be mine. So I mean, that's there's something to that, I guess. But I mean, that was just, but that gets me away from this idea. So that's a story. I started creating a story, and I got to the true story, and ultimately, it's still in the I know I don't know what happened. And like I said, I'm okay with that. because in the end, everything worked out how I'd hoped it to. So this is what I'm asking you to do in just your general life, even in your personal relationships. Instead of sitting there saying, and we want to make up stories, somebody calls in sick to work. Oh, I bet you they're just sitting there watching TV, doing nothing, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, well, if they're sick, they should be. But, anyways, I digress. Or they're just trying to blah, blah, blah. We make up these stories. How about you just take the information you have and say that they're sick and go with it? I mean, why don't you put that they're sick in the known category? Because that's what they're saying that they are. You know, we don't have to sit there and make up stories about people that we don't know because we're trying to base it on something because we don't want to be in this. We don't want our information in this category. We want it up here. And we're willing to lie and do whatever it takes to put that in that known category. And we might be wrong, and we might be completely wrong, and it might be fictional, the story that we're making up. But we're going to take it as its truth, and we're going to keep put it in that known category. Don't do that. Just be satisfied with it being in the no, I don't know category. And if you can't be satisfied with that, then do your research and figure it out so that you can actually put it in the known category and not try to make up a story. You know, to be honest with you, everybody says when you deal with business, this is the most dangerous part. No, it's not. This is the most dangerous part. The things that you don't know, and you're too lazy to figure out the truth. That's the part that's really going to nail you in business. The things that you don't know, typically you will figure out fairly quickly, probably too. And if you don't figure out, or you'll figure out that you don't know them, and then you'll figure out that you need to get it in the known category, or you'll hire somebody who does have it in the known category and can take care of that, and you can just leave it right here. But this is the category that's really dangerous in your life, is the things that you don't know. Because if I don't know something, if I don't know that I don't know something, I don't even know it exists. And I mean, so this is something that not just in business, but even in your personal life and your personal relationships, if you can get away from creating stories about people, and instead of trying to strive to be in that known category, just be like, you know what, I don't know it, and just leave it at that. Or if it really bugs you, then actually do the research, do everything else. I mean, I'm a curious person. I'm always doing research because I don't like things in here. But I also know that this is dangerous if I don't do my research and don't do and figure things out to actually put it in the known category. So there's the graph. Check it out. This will help you a lot in your personal relationships, in your jobs. If you got jobs, in your business, if you got a business, you can apply it to every aspect of your life. Don't make the stories. We're going to get rid of the stories. And make sure that we know what we know, and that we are willing to admit that we don't know what we do. Make sure that we're willing to admit what we don't know. And what we don't know, we just don't know what we don't know. That's one of the most difficult parts of business, because there's a lot, believe it or not. When people go into business, they typically, even business classes and things like that, they don't teach you everything you need to know. They don't even introduce you to everything that you need to know so that it can be in the no, I don't know category. You know, and that's where hiring a lot of professionals helps out, and just doing research and just, getting information. I know recently, if you listen to a lot of landscape podcasts, everybody's talking about bookkeepers right now. And this is the one thing that they always talk about, is the things they don't know, but the bookkeeper knows. You could do your research and find out what it takes to be a bookkeeper if you want. And there's a lot of things. They always talk about, like, how, we got the shoebox of receipts, and how pitiful is that? How pitiful is it that you're actually recording things? It's a process that, if it's a process that works, who cares? I mean, yeah, there might be a better process, but if you're just trying to start off figuring things out and you got shoe boxes of receipts, guess what? That works. You know, it's not about always about having the best process. It's about having a process that works sometimes, and eventually you develop the best processes. And you might hire people. You're gonna eventually, if you get big enough, you're gonna have to hire those services, the bookkeeping services, the tax preparers. You might have to hire secretaries and phone personnel, and guys out in the field, and all kinds of stuff. A lot of personnel in running a business when you start scaling and growing. So don't be don't be afraid of this. Be mostly afraid of the things that you don't know. That's going to be what sets your business apart. Is if you can just accept that you don't know something, and if it becomes important, you get to know it the right way, not just by making up a story. So don't make up stories. Get the truth, and I'll see you next time.